I have a special guest today, Susie Tomasi. She's a fashion stylist, an image consultant, and also a jewelry designer. And on top of all of that, she donates a portion of her proceeds to charity, to worthy causes, which we will be talking about in the midst of this conversation. So hi Susie, welcome to the show.
Hi Harjeet, how are you?
Good, thanks for being here.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, the pleasure is all ours, actually. So, if you would like to tell us a little bit about what you do, and from the jewelry designer to the fashion consultant, and anything else in between.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. I'm so honored. I've had the opportunity to meet Harjeet in a fashion show I did with my company, which is called Susie Q Jewels. Susie Q Jewels has been in the business since 2012. And what I started as a jewelry designer, and then from there worked on to a fashion blogger, and then from there did a fashion styling and opened my own boutique. So what we do is we donate a proceeds of our sale from the fashion that is bought to 5 women's shelters. One is the Red Door, and one is the Yellow Brick House, and the 3 other ones I can't disclose. So that's what basically I do. So I am an image consultant for any of your special occasions. I get you dressed to fit your attire to your body, which is very important. These days, a lot of clothing aren't sized to our body types. So I try to make you happy and feel awesome while you're wearing those items. Yeah.
Well, I know the times that the time that I did a shoot with you, it was fabulous. It was for publication in a magazine. Unfortunately, my images didn't make it, but the fact that it was supporting a worthy cause is what it made me want to do it so much, you know?
I'm so blessed. I've had the opportunity to work with so many fabulous models, and they donate their time with me because I am a not-for-profit. So I am so honored to have them just come out and support my cause to donate. And like anything that's sold, a portion goes to the shelters.
And that's what I love. But before we get to that, let's talk about how it all started. I mean, were you young? Had you graduated from school? How did you start making this dream become a reality?
Well, in 2012, I actually started as an organizer. My son, I was on maternity leave, and I was working for a financial company. And I said, okay, what would happen if I lost my job today? I have a child. I was married at that time, but not fulfilledly happy. I was kind of the powerhouse at home because I was the one that was working full time and juggling my child, and that I got into the organizing. So that was very hard to deal with because I am a very intense emotional person. So if I dedicate my time to someone or something, I want to give my 100%. So for that, it's a lot of mindset and mental work you have to deal with a client to organize their life, home, and everything. So I'd get them all organized, and then in 2 months' time, I would get a cleaning lady to come and support them. It would be back to square one. So I said, okay, I can't do this anymore. I want to sell something that someone would pick up, I'd make, and they'd be happy, wear it, and that's it. No attachment to it. That's where I started the jewelry designing. Then from there, that was fulfilling. I really loved people wearing my items, but then I wasn't giving back. And then I had a moment that I spoke to God. I honestly did. I remember most of my thinking is at night when my kids are sleeping. And I said, God, I know you have me here for a reason. Give me something or an idea that I can do and give back to the community. And my childhood flashed back. And then I remember going as a child to women's shelters. And then I said, okay, you're giving it to me. And that's where I became affiliated with the women's shelters. I always volunteered time prior to that because of my past, but I never had the finance to give back to them. So this way I'm giving them a portion of what is sold to them, and it is going into a trust fund, so I don't even see it sometimes. The lawyers deal with that and they distribute it in quarterly base. So And it's 10% that's going to them. So,
well, it's incredible. I mean, it's a lot more than some people do, you know, because it's not that we don't want to. Sometimes we don't think about it.
Yeah.
So I'm really fascinated by that. I don't know if it's a touchy subject, but did you want to go into how you became aware of women's shelters and your experience with them?
Sure. I grew up, my father was a very great dad when he didn't drink. But when he drank, it was a different story. So he was like night and day. So, and my mother, she was sent to Canada to study, in which she met my father, and she was in love with him. So she would put up with my father, abuse, basically physically and mentally. And we grew up seeing that. And it wasn't as a point that I even had to, it got so aggressive that I would have to hide his tools because he would just lose it, like you would not recognize them. And we had so many opportunities that we had to run out of the home without shoes, jump out of windows, find an alternative way to escape. We lived in a small Italian area, which we didn't want our neighbors or schools to know.
Was this in Canada too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in Guelph. We didn't want our neighbors to know what was happening because that was my mother's thing. So I remember having my black eye one day going to school and saying that I fell, and it was my father's. So I love him because he was great when he didn't drink, but there was so much pain when he drank. And he did not want to stop. So my mother kind of covered that detail. And that's why we have this passion about, well, I have this passion about the shelters because it was like our safe haven when we were kids, me and my sister. It was like we wanted to stay there, but my mom would always go back because she loved my father. She would remember the good side of my father, not the bad side. That is why I really am passionate for the shelters, to have that access for women that are going through this, for the children that grow up in this, because we don't take into account that we become either victims of it, it's a pattern, or we become an abuser. So if we grew up in that pattern and we saw either one of our parents being an abuser, will become one. So sometimes you see an abuser, it's because they have a past history and it hasn't been corrected. And at these shelters, if we can catch it while it's early and have them educated, counseled for the mother too, so she doesn't go back to it, even get them ready prior to their escape, because a lot of these relationships are either the spouse is controlling or they have them threatened by their children, which was one of mine. They tend to stay in this atmosphere, or they don't even know what's out there, or they're scared of the stigma that they're going to be a sole parent. I was doing it at work. I worked in a corporate area for 20 years. I would go back to work because of my pattern. I fell into having an abusive husband. So I would go back to work acting like nothing occurred, like my mother. So I was my mother.
Well, they do always say, and it kind of rings true with me, but girls tend to want to find a man just like their father. Mm-hmm. Father, good or bad, that's just what they see, and that's what they're exposed to, and that's what they go towards. And sometimes it's unfortunate. But talking about women's shelters, for women that have been through situations such as yours or similar to yours, what are the first steps? How do they get to know a women's shelter? Because I know there's a lot of secrecy surrounding them, finding where they're located.
Yes.
And how do you know? I mean, because if we had that number before it became an emergency, then we would already be prepared.
There is a helpline that you can call. I suggest you to call them. It's so confidential. Do it when no one, like when your spouse is not home. Prepare your escape. Don't just pick up and leave, because it doesn't work out that way. Canada has a 50-50 property arrangement. So if you leave your home, you still don't get the full home. It's sad. It's so sad. So if you call this helpline, they will prepare you. They will make sure you have the passports. They will make sure you go with calm so he isn't aware when you're leaving, because controlling spouses tend to have bank accounts. They have your passports, their children's passports. They're controlling you every 5 minutes, calling you, seeing where you are. So these are the things you have to be very careful. And even if you go to a place that you can have a phone, just to talk to them before you do leave your home. I know it sounds bad, and I've already gone through it. That's why I had to go back to my spouse to secure my home. It's sad to say, but it's true.
Taking the first step is never easy.
It's hard.
But now Susie's doing something that I aspire to very much, and donating to these worthy causes of the women's shelters. But when we come back right after the break, we'll continue to talk about this.
देखो 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 ये है मेरी choice, just right, Biscotti right, dark chocolate biscuit, vanilla cream inside, that's right, Biscotti right, मीठे में डाले, दूध में डूबे, ice cream भी हो गई है, it's right, Biscotti right, जो care करे, वो share करे, प्यार में डूबा हर bite, that's right, Biscotti right.
Dark chocolate biscuit, vanilla cream inside.
Biscotti right.
This is the world of internet. You have everything on your computer and mobile screen. If you wish to promote your business through internet, especially to perfect target market, then you have just one reliable name, NJ Marketing, offering various marketing solutions like social media marketing, telemarketing, email marketing, search engine optimization, graphic designing, web designing and development, and mobile application development. So call now at 647-824-1485 or email at njmarketing15@gmail.com or log on to njmarketing.ca.
मैं हूं जहांगीर खान, स्क्वाश कोर्ट का चैंपियन, लेकिन रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट का चैंपियन मोहम्मद कामरान हुसैन। मुझे उन पर यकीन है, आप भी करके देखिए।
जहांगीर खान और हजारों क्लाइंट्स का चहेता मोहम्मद कामरान हुसैन। रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टीज और इन्वेस्टमेंट्स दोनों के लिए ही सही मशवरा, सही फैसला। मकान जिसे आप अपना घर कहने में फख्र महसूस करेंगे। मोहम्मद कामरान हुसैन, 4163185264।
Welcome back. This is Harjeet and you're watching Girls Talk. Our guest today is Susie Tomasi of Susie Q Jewels. We were talking right before the break about helplines for women who need assistance and women's shelter support. So if you could just get back to that, Susie, and just tell us what the organizations are, which numbers would be the most useful for women who do need these services.
Yes, there is a 211 number that you can dial on your phone. It will directly give you someone that you can speak to at a helpline. There's also the Women Assault line that you can find in Google's. And yeah, basically they can help you and have a correct exit plan.
So they will
safely
assist you. So if you do require the use of a shelter, you don't have to do it alone. There are numbers out there that can help you with the escape plan, so to speak.
Yes.
So touching on that, I want to go back to before the break. I was wearing this beautiful dress, but I didn't have the jewelry pieces on like I do now. And I didn't mention that earlier, but they're courtesy of Susie Q Jewels. So why don't we talk a little bit about the designs that, the pieces that I'm wearing. Did you design these jewelry pieces that I'm actually wearing?
Yes, if you notice your earring, just have to move, yeah. The earring was made all by me, so it's one-of-a-kind pieces that you would not see on anyone else. The choker also, and most of all is the dress that she has on. She looks fabulous with it on.
And I'm hoping we get to give you a full-length shot of this dress. I absolutely love it. I love it.
It's fantastic on her. It was made for her.
So what about people that want to, apart from online, because you do have a website, susieqjewels.com, which I love. If people actually wanted to see the clothing in person, do you do any fashion shows? Is there anywhere they could go? If you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, I do pop-up shops throughout Toronto and sometimes in Mississauga, and now I'm actually going into Vaughan. Eventually I will be opening a boutique, so look out for that. But I do also style events so that I will bring some clothing to you. So if you have like 6 women that want to do an evening out, have like a fashion event with cheese and wine, I will bring some attire and clothing with me, and you can just have a fun afternoon trying it on with your girlfriends, and they will give you input, and I'm really keen with the eye and body shape and styles for each one. Everyone has a different body shape, so even for petites to find clothing, it's pretty hard, and for every size. So I'm giving a shout out that I need designers with all sizes, not just geared towards the standard sizing. I need it to gear towards body type, because a lot of designers aren't doing that now, and it's needed, especially if you're buying online. A lot of people are hesitant in buying online because they're scared of the sizing, and that's where the boutique will come in place.
Yeah, and that's funny that you say that, because I had recently, I'm actually a fan of online shopping, because I just don't like people. So going to stores is like, oh, so much work, and there's so many distractions too with the clothes. Online, you know what you want, you can just get what you want. But I had an experience recently where I ordered something medium, and it was like, I mean, it was probably a large on a man, right? And so I was just, but they actually refunded me because of the size. So that's good. But I know what you're saying when it comes to the sizes online, because always going in person, which is why it's good that you have these pop-up shows and you do parties when you come to people's homes. That's also a really good idea.
Yes, and it's fun. It makes it to be a fun afternoon of girlfriends bonding.
The best thing about it, which is what I say, is that if you ever wanted to donate to a cause and you wanted to spoil yourself too, there's nothing wrong with shopping with Susie Q, because the same time you're getting clothes, you're also providing funds to a worthy cause, and it's a win-win for everybody, I find. So that's what I love about it. Let's talk about something completely different, if we can. I noticed that you also go by the title Frugal Diva, and for those of you who don't know what frugal means, I think it's actually a compliment. It's somebody who's a smart spender. They know how to conserve the pennies to make the dollars. And that's really important. So can you tell us a bit about how you got the title of Frugal Diva and what it actually means?
Well, I'm a single mom. So when you are a single mom, you look for frugal items and how you can save money on anything and everything. So from fashion to decor to anything in life, like even for coffee. I don't buy Starbucks. I'll go to a Tim Hortons if I can, once in a blue moon, but most of the time I'm making my coffee. So that is frugal, and that's being smart, because if you look at one coffee a day is almost like $3 if you're buying at Tim Hortons. If you're going to Starbucks, it could be almost $7. So add that up. That $7 can go to food. So for me, that's where frugal came out. And it's not only just items, it's also in business. I found opportunities in doing marketing, like I spent money on marketing. So I found out other ways, like cost-efficient ways to do that. And learning. A lot of apps out there can help you on doing things without spending anymore. So just those save you so much.
I find with being frugal, this is my opinion, I'm not sure if you agree with this, you're the diva in it, so if you could tell me if this is actually true. Some people, there are 2 types of people that can make a lot of money. There are the people that actually will get a job, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars and they'll be successful. There are people who can make half of that, but they're frugal with their money, so they're actually making more than somebody who is actually physically making more than them, because they're smarter with their money.
Oh yeah, so most of the time when people have money, they watch their money. They're not spending as much as people think. They may buy some couple of high-end items, but I have a friend that he doesn't take his real Rolex on trips. He will wear them on special occasions, maybe with family events, but he will not take them on vacation. The reason why, because he knows it may be stolen, so it's like, for him, it's not worth it. So, and he's even stopped buying those high-end items. He's gotten to a point that he actually found out what life is, and those brands is not him. It doesn't make him, he doesn't need them, so that's how it is. And that's how I feel with myself with fashion. You do not need a high-end item to be a fashionista. You can just mix and match what you have in your closet, maybe update something more like a jewelry piece or a handbag or a pair of shoes, just to make that attire different. So
do you have any tips that you could share, what we could do with old clothing and old jewelry pieces?
Oh yes.
Anything quick and easy that...
Yes, you can mix and match a jewelry piece so fast. Like you can take it apart, give it to someone that can design it for you. Also with clothing, you can use a sweater as a dress sometimes. You can even use a skirt. If it's too long, you can shorten it. There's different ways to put it together and style it in different sorts.
Yeah, I always like the Michaels and I know Dollarama. Also, you can get sequins for tops and things, and just you can
bling it up,
sparkle something up, and that's what I like. So what else do you do? I know that you do image consultants, which we haven't really talked about, and you also said something about wardrobe.
Styling. So what we do is also, okay, so let's go to the image consultant. So let's say if you have an interview or if you're doing a big speech at a big event, we become so visual. So 90% of us is visual. So when you're on the stage, what are they looking at? They're not hearing what you're saying. Sometimes they'll get a glimpse of it, but they're looking at what you're wearing. It's that top that's making them look and focus and pay attention to you. Or maybe the sleeve that when you're making a gesture, they're noticing the sleeve, and that's calling their attention. We've become so independent to visual eye, even in persona. Like we actually meet people and we look them up and down. It's not what they have inside, and that is why I'm so passionate in doing what I do. I want people to love people for what they are and be happy with what they are. We all want to be something different, but we need to be grateful for the things that we have, and we have 2 legs to walk, 2 eyes to see and to hear. So that's what I think is more important to me.
A good thing about that, one thing that I think about when you say that is people always thinking the grass is greener on the other side, and if that is true, then somebody's actually thinking the grass is greener on your side. So if you could see the green in your own grass, I think that will allow you to grow and appreciate what you have.
Yes,
you know,
I've gotten to that point that I'm very grateful for everything, and if things happen, I think God gives it to you for a reason, and it's not because you can't handle it. And yes, you do have moments that you think you're going to drown, because I've had those moments, but I always overcome it, and I find things come to me more easily without even looking for it. So I'm very grateful for that.
And I want to ask you as well, if you want to answer, if you're comfortable to answer, as a single mother and running a business on your own, do your children support you a lot with that? Do they participate sometimes, do things that they're capable of doing?
Well, I know my eldest son, he goes, "Mom, fashion, why you get into fashion, you know, this and that." And yeah, women's shelter, not everyone notices that. And I said, you know what, Austin? They do. Because you know what? I went through it. You may not had to have done that because I was a bit stronger, but one day you will appreciate it. And I know he does admire what his mom is doing, because I heard him the other day protecting me on the phone from his dad. So they do realize it. And my little one, I show him and I take him to the shelters, he helps me donate stuff or the canned goods. So he's always talking about how to do something better. And that is one thing I've taught my kids, is always do something good. Kindness is more important, and making a difference is very important in life.
And it's definitely important, if you do have children, to teach them the importance of giving back.
Even empathy. Like empathy there's so much bullying in schools now. It's so sad. That's another topic to get into, but I teach my kids to love everyone for what they are. Because inside is what counts more. You can look beautiful from the outside, but if you have a cold heart inside, there's no point to life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. We should all be good people on the inside.
Yes.
And let's shine from the inside out, not the outside in.
And sharing is caring. So trying to get that word out and making a difference is very important for me, and to my kids too.
So talking about that, because not everybody is a good person and they can trick you into believing that they are. When you were on your journey to starting your own business, did you face any obstacles where you had to meet such people? Did you face any obstacles in terms of getting everything set up online?
Online, I had the business since 2012. The clothing came into place 2 years ago because I started blogging for other companies, and when people couldn't find the item, they would come back to me and hear, well, what am I, I need to make money too, so why don't I affiliate with suppliers to have their clothing on my website so that I can blog on that. And that has allowed me to have a lot of customers. But I was approached to open a boutique, which was kind of one of my dreams, because I knew there was a huge overload and cost in having items in the store, and just having the rent, that's a big commitment. So I was approached to realize that dream, and I was grateful for it. I was very grateful, and I thought this person was truthful and wanted the same passion as me to help the women's shelters. So I went ahead, did it. And they say if you don't if you don't jump for it, you're never going to do it. So I did. I got laid off from my job in December. On December, right before Christmas, I was told by my partner that she no longer wanted to proceed, and that she wanted me out of the unit, and that she signed the lease on her name. I was so up and busy with setting up the boutique and design and the grand opening and the items and everything in the store. I kind of didn't realize, and I trusted her, that she wouldn't sign under her personal name. I thought she would sign under Susie Q Jewels, which is the company's name that we opened the boutique in. And we were paying from the corporate company, so it's under the corporate checks that the rent was being paid. So unfortunately, this is a tip for you, any business owner or any person that comes and approaches you for a partnership. Make sure there's a partnership agreement, which is in place. I did have that done, and there's a non-compete clause in there, but make sure you sign that lease, because whoever signs that lease can throw you out in a matter of instance and take possession of everything. Because it's a corporation, I have to wait for the lawyers to decide as to what is going to be done, and I'm locked out of my unit basically.
Yeah, this is the importance of Girls Talk, is that we're supposed to empower, encourage each other. So, if we have the opportunity to be in business together, it's an admirable trait. We should be supporting each other, lifting each other up. And I think a world with women doing that more often with each other, it's going to be a better place, and we're going to be more successful that way.
Yes, yes.
So before we end the show, is there any advice that you can give to anybody who, you've given us a lot of advice already, but any advice, somebody who wanted to give back to charity while opening a new business, is there any advice that you could give?
It's, it is a big obligation. They do get approached by a lot of people to open up, and you just need to be honest about it. Because we opened the boutique, I used to give 20% online because it was easier. I didn't have the overhead. When we opened the boutique, we went to 10% because it was really hard to maintain that 20% because of the overhead itself, and because we were very new. We were just in business, like the boutique itself just opened 6 months, and a lot of the overhead was just the startup of the business and the equipment. And we weren't just a boutique, it was we were lucky we had a lot of people that donated items, thanks to Susie Q Jewels and the history. But I'm so grateful, thank you. But that is what I'm saying. It's just if you promise to do it, please do it, and make sure you promise that, right? I'm just saying it because a lot of people question, and I've had questions, and I do have it enclosed in my website, so you can check it out. There is a trust fund. It goes directly in there. I do not touch it. It's not mine. It's for them and strictly them. And even with what's happening now, I've told my lawyer I don't want anything. He can donate it to the shelters. Because honestly, I want to pay my half that was promised from this loan, but the rest can go to the shelter.
Yeah, that's definitely important. If you do decide that you are going to donate to charity as part of your business, please do that. Thank you so much, Susie, for being a part of the show. And if you are interested in learning more about what Susie does or reaching out to her, you can check out her website at susieqjules.com. Thanks.